and welcome to the backtracking episode proper for the Distillers, and we start with the band's debut album, The Distillers. Released in 2000, it would come out through Hellcat Records and be produced by Thomas Johnson. And in what feels like a record, for me, I don't really have a lot to say for this one that I haven't already said in my very brief history video, so let's just talk about the album proper. It starts with the song Oh Serena, and for anyone familiar with almost any band signed to Hellcat, then you may know that the Distillers fit that mould. Considering that mould is furious and fast-paced punk rock, I'm not going to bitch too much about it, because it's a style I've always liked. It's an album that came out about a time where nobody was really doing the style of punk rock anymore, and you could argue that it's actually pretty decent production has something to do with that. But honestly, I think the reason it's held up is because of lead vocalist Brody Dahl. She was just about 21 when this album came out, and even at that age, she still has one of the most unique sounding voices in this style of female punk rock, and that's evident from her more recent material too. It's not just her, as the rest of the band play their instruments really damn well to match this album's snarling and blistering pace. It's pretty well put together too, with 14 songs fit into a 40-minute time frame, so it's got enough for everyone with a big chunk of time put into it. And the lyrics are pretty good too, drawing depictions of the dark sides of California and fame and conformity. My favourite song goes to Gypsy Rose Lee. The Distillers' self-titled debut sees the band making a strong case of themselves with pretty good production, smart songwriting, and a furious pace filling out its time wonderfully. Next is the band's second album, Sing Sing Death House, released in 2002. It would be a release through the same label, and it would be produced by the band themselves this time around. This album also contains my first Distillers song in City of Angels, so woo! But there's not a lot to talk about for the background of this one, as we would see the band lineup change that I mentioned in the very brief history video, but the band would tour with Garbage and No Doubt at some point, which is nice. Anyway, this album starts with the song Sick of It All, and it's sort of the same as last time, to be honest. This album is, once again, a really solid and fun piece of punk rock, and its opening song is a good indication of that. I mean, okay, so it's not fully the same as the last one. For one thing, it's over 10 minutes shorter than the last one, with 12 songs filling that frame quite well, honestly. I think one thing that helped is that the band took over production duties, and you know that for me, 9 times out of 8, my math is bad and it usually works. The structure of the album is actually a lot faster too, complementing a shorter length in comparison to last time, but it doesn't really waste any of it, still being fast, fun, and viciously paced. The band again just sound really great at playing this fast, full blast punk rock, with Brody Dahl's voice sounding deeper, and she even has some lower octaves and even a scream too. In fact, the entire band seems to adopt this more sort of hardcore-leaning style with this album, which, again, complements the pace. And the lyrics sort of go over the same stuff as well, like LA Life, Fame's Downfall, Addiction, and Death, so, you know, good times. My favourite song goes to City of Angels. Sing Sing Death House is fast, furious, and still fun, even if it's a bit familiar in places, but it's still worth a shot, I think. And finally, we reach the band's third album, Coral Fang. Released in 2003, it would come out through Hellcat as well as Sire Records, and it would be produced by Gil Norton. Now, there's a few changes to talk about here, mostly the fact that Coral Fang is the band's major label debut. There's also the fact that 2003, rough year for Brody Dahl. Her very publicised divorce with Tim Armstrong pretty much led to this album's creation. Hell, in turn that led to Rancid's album at the time, Indestructible, being released the same year. So yeah, it's quite clear that both sides had a lot of healing to do. Anyway, that aside, this album starts with the song Drain the Blood, and there's already a small change of pace from Distillers' usual fare here. It's a more measured out song, but still no less fun or lacking in punk angst, and that's a feeling that carries on well through the album. Actually, the album is a bit more of a slow down affair in some areas, but it still has some hardcore influences places as well, with its more deliberate pacing. I guess that could be due to the production though, as Gil Norton has a habit of bringing this sort of stuff out in bands, and the dude at least makes an effort to make it sound good. The bands sound really good too, obviously, with Brody adding more tone to her singing, and there's even new techniques tried on the guitars and drums as well, which is really good. And the lyrics cover, well, more than a fair bit of what happened to Brody, such as the divorce, the public image of the band, and the turmoil and fallout of it all, so yeah, it was personal, to say the least. My favourite song goes to The Hunger. Coral Fang is just a better polished, slightly more dragged out version of what the band is usually good at, but damn did they still sound as good as ever on it. So that'll about do it for this episode, but what did you guys think? Did you guys get sick of it all, or did you hunger for more? I know that I would like more if possible, and considering the band's reunion a couple of years ago, we might be getting that soon, so it makes me happy. Anyway, the next thing I'll see you guys for will probably be the first episode of PBW vs AVW on Tuesday, and the next backtracking episode will be another Los Angeles, California band in The Runaways. And then after that, the Joan Jett 3-part finale. And as always, thank you for watching, you're awesome. Bye bye.